welcome back, guys. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the HTML list. So in HTML, we'll probably have in different web pages, we have to list some items like list objectives, list have a list of routes, have a list of a lot of things. So we have to make use of HTML list. Now in HTML list, there are two types of listing in HTML. We have the ordered list and then we have the unordered list. So from the name ordered list, the ordered list consists of lists that are ordered in a specific manner, in a regular manner. Now you getting it? For example, now even in our daily life, we want to list items. We be like, okay, maybe probably want to list have a list of fruits and we say one mango, two. Are you getting that? So we have different ways in which we can arrange lists. Are you getting that? We can make use of numbers like 1, 2, 3. You can make use of alphabets like A, B, C. Even sometimes we make use of Roman numerals. I getting now to make list of items. So that is just an example of what ordered list is for. And then we have the unordered list. The unordered list is basically a list that is not arranged in a specific order. I get it now. So those kind of lists, they are called bulleted lists. They are called the bulleted list. So we are going to start with the ordered list. So we can just move through to unordered list. So for the ordered list, we have the ordered list container, which is specified using the OL tag, which signifies the ordered list. And then so for each of the list in each of the list items in this ordered list, for example, if I'm going to have a list of fruits, for example, I'm going to have H4, and then I'm going to say okay, or let's say vegetables, for example. I'm going to have vegetables, and then inside this one, if I'm going to list the items, so each of the list items will be inside the OL tag, which represent the ordered list. So for each of the list item, I'm going to have LI to represent each of the list items. So for example, I can have cabbage, for example, and then I'm going to have another LI, so I'm going to have carrot, for example. And then for example, the next one I'm gonna have let's say bitter leaf, okay. And then the next one I'm gonna have like let's say okra, for example. So I have a list items, 4 list items under the ordered list. So which means that by the time I run this program here, so I'm gonna have vegetables. You can see the list. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 as my ordered list. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, I didn't put it there, so it was automatically added due to the ordered list that we are using. So now to make sure that we can actually use different type of ordered list, so this is the default order that is being used on ordered list, which is the numerical arrangement that is using 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you are going to use alphabets like A, B, C, or Roman numeral 1, 2, Roman figure 1, Roman figure 2, and so on. So we have to create our own custom styling for the ordered list. So we are going to come to our style here. So we have OL representing the ordered list that we are styling, and then to change the kind of arrangement that we are going to use, we make use of an attribute called the list style type. So the list style type can be anything. So if you are going to change it to alphabets, let's say we want to use lowercase alphabets, lowercase a, b, c, and so on. So we are going to have the lower alpha. So the lower alpha, if we run this program, we're going to have, so you can see it now, the 1, 2, 3 has changed to a, b, c, d in lower case. So if you are going to be using the upper case, so instead of the lower alpha, we are going to have the upper alpha instead. So you can see you have uppercase A, B, C, D. So the same way, if you are going to make use of Roman numerals, so we'll just change this to upper Roman or lower Roman, just like that of the alpha. So we have upper Roman here. So we can have Roman figure 1, 2, 3, and 4. So those are the different types of arrangements that we can have for the ordered list. Now, so for the unordered list, now we're going to move on to the unordered list. So for the unordered list, let's assume I'm going to have a list of Okay, let me say I'm gonna have a list of companies, for example. Okay, let's say I'm gonna have a list of tech companies. Okay, so for the another list, instead of the OL for the other list, we are just gonna have our UL. All right, so we're gonna have the UL instead. So for each of the list item, just like that of the OL, so we're gonna have LI. So let's say I'm gonna have Google. Okay, LI. I'm gonna have Meta. For each of the LI, I'm gonna have okay, which other one again? I can say Microsoft. Okay, LI. Okay, I'm gonna have Amazon. All right, so let's so by the time I run this program, you can see now I'm having bulleted list instead of the normal ordered list that I have. So I'm only having the bulleted list. So now under the bulleted list, you have different shapes that we can make use of. You can make use of the circle, you can make use of the disc, and we can make use of the square. I get it now. So the default one here, which is like the default here, is the disc form. I get it now, which is something that looks like a dotted circle here right now. So that is, so we can also change this style and say, so for the UL, we're just going to make something here. So we are going to also change the list style type to let's say square. So we are going to change this to square. So by the time we change this to square, so you can see now we are having a square bullet instead of a normal circular bullet. So if we also change this, so instead of the square, if we change it to let's say circle. Alright, so if we change it to circle, so you can see we are having something like a circular bullet instead of the square or the disc bullet. So that is that on the. Now we can also create a kind of a custom. We can also create a custom bullet for ourselves. Like we don't want to use the inbuilt square, circle, or disc. We want to create our own bullets. Are you getting now? Probably using emoji or using some kind of items to like an arrow or something. Are you getting now? So we are going to create another one. So I'm going to create another something here. Okay, so I'm just going to use this same UL. So for example, now to create our own custom bullet, so first of all, I'm going to change the list style type of the UL to none. So which means that I've removed every type of bullet. So you can see now, so we don't have any bullet here. Now to now create our own bullet type, so I'm going to come down here and select the UL, and then I'm going to write this greater than, meaning that I'm selecting the LIs, all the LIs under UL. So that's exactly what this greater than symbol means. It means that I'm selecting all the LIs under the UL tag. So I'm going to say so the li I'm now going to use a pseudo element, which means I want to insert something before each of the list items. So that is what the pseudo element represent. So the pseudo element is represented by the double colon, and then I'm going to say before. So which means that I want to insert a kind of a custom bullet I want to create myself. I want to insert a custom bullet before each of the list items. So we can also have the after too, which means I want to insert them after the list items. So whatever I'm going to insert, I'm going to put it inside this content. So let's assume I want to use an arrow instead. I want to use this kind of an arrow to represent my bullet list instead of the normal square and circle. So I'm going to have the content equal to this arrow that I've created using the hyphen, two hyphen, and one greater than symbol. So if I run this program right here, so I'm going to have it. So you can see I have the custom bullets list that I've created. I guess now. So we can also make use of different things. So I can even make use of an emoji. For example, I can make use of an emoji. So instead of the arrow, I can just use one of the emojis on my keyboard here, like this hand pointing to each of the list item here. So if I run this, So I'm going to have it right here. So you can see we can create our own custom bullet instead of the normal bulleted list that comes with the HTML elements. So we can also have other lists. Like I said, now we can have lists. We can have nested lists. That means we can have lists inside lists. Are you getting now? We can have lists inside. For example, let me say under this Google, for example, if I'm gonna have another list under this Google, probably I want to list some kind of different branches under Google. So I'm going to create, for example, I'm going to create an OL. So we can have an order list inside an another list. We can have another list inside other list. We can have another list inside another list. So we can have any type of list nested into each other. So I'm going to have another OL inside here, and then I'm going to say, okay, let's say I'm going to have Play Store, for example. Okay, so I have another list item, and then I'm going to say okay, Google Maps, for example, and then I'm just gonna add one more and say okay, Google Meets, for example. Okay, yeah, so if I run this right here, so you can see I have in another list inside this entire list. So this smaller list is like a sub list under this Google list item. So we can have as many lists as possible nested into each other. So that is that on HTML list. So we are going to meet in our next class. Thank you.